Hey there guys, welcome back to Mana Down Under. So for this video we're doing a new series, the Patron Deck Techs. So this is for our patron Marcus, who's our first gold tier patron. So with this, all the gold tier patrons will send me their deck list for any format, modern, standard, commander, whatever they want, and I'll make it into a video. They'll give me kind of general description, what the deck's trying to do, its flavor, and we tell a story. This is great for them because I'll immortalize their deck forever, and I get free content. So this deck belongs to Marcus, and the deck is Hana, Ship's Navigator. Now, the exact printings you see are what his deck is, and that's what I try and do. When they send me the list, hopefully they'll have the exact printings, foilings, promo, whatever they have, and that will be the real life representation of their deck. So this Navigator is the Judge promo, 3 mana for a 1/2 that has pay 3, tap, return an artifact or enchantment from your graveyard to your hand. Most Ship Navigators deck are all about reusing and abusing artifacts or enchantments, and this is an artifact build. Now, 2 big standout cards in this deck are Isochron Scepter and Unwinding Clock. When these 2 cards are together, you think combo, and that's what this deck tries to do. So the Scepter, you can imprint any instant with CMC 2 or less onto it, then for 2 mana tapping it, you can cast that instant again. Very abusive, we'll go into it a little bit later on. Unwinding Clock lets you untap all your artifacts during each other player's untap step. Now, keep this card in the back of your mind while we're going through this deck because it's very abusive and it supports a lot of the deck's plan. So, Scepter first. You can put so many good things under this. Arcane Denial, the new Dovin's Veto, Counterspell, have a great form of protection there. You can put Cyclonic Rift under there for its mini version, start bouncing the non-land permanents away. Swords to Plowshare just for good removal, or even Enlightened Tutor, so you can tutor for an artifact or enchantment each turn. Very strong. And Unwinding Clock can untap it on each of your opponent's turn. Ooh, the value. But it gets better with Dramatic Reversal, which lets you untap the Scepter itself and all your non-land permanents. Now, most decks like Ship's Navigator have a lot of mana rocks, like artifacts that can tap for mana. Lots of them, they depend on them. So with this, you can probably set up infinite mana very easily. Other 2 cards stand out really well. Darksteel Forge, Mechanized Production. Darksteel Forge protects most of the deck. The deck is like 60-70% artifact, protects all of it. Mechanized Production is a win condition on its own and can let you generate tokens for very abusive artifacts. And in saying tokens, the deck runs Anointed Possession, where you can get double up your tokens. And this supports your Sharding Sphinx, Thopter Spy Network, and Hangerback Walker, which all care about Thopters. Now, with Isochron Scepter or Unwinding Clock and all your mana rocks, you can have a lot of mana or infinite mana. And with that, you can have an infinite-sized Hangerback Walker to have infinite tokens. Other forms of tokens in the deck come from Stolen Identity and Saheeli's Artistry, which lets you copy big creatures or big artifacts. Now, Marcus is also a bit of a high roller. He's got some quite expensive reserveless cards in the deck. Power Artifact is an amazing combo card. Now, it enchants onto an artifact and it makes its activated abilities cost 2 less. Can't go below 1 though. So let's take good old Memnarch here. With him powered up, for a total of 4 mana, you can convert something to an artifact and then steal it for a total of 4 mana. That's pretty scary. Or on Basalt Monolith, you can have infinite mana because it reduces untap mechanic down to 1 mana, but it generates 3. You're netting 2 mana each time. He is thinking about upgrading this to a Grim Monolith, but obviously that's a $100 upgrade right there. Exactly the same thing, but it comes out for 1 less mana. It's just a bit of an efficiency upgrade there. Now, Planeswalkers in the deck. The new Ugin, the Ineffable, is a bomb. All your color spells cost 2 less. A good majority of the deck suddenly became free or very cheap at 1/2 mana. Plus, that +1, making a 2/2 token that when it dies gives you card advantage and -3 destroy colored permanents. Ugin is a god tier Planeswalker in this deck. He's got both the Tezzerets to give you that artifact support. The Artifice Master here can make Thopter tokens, draw you tons of cards, where the Tezzeret Seeker can untap your artifacts to set up that abusive loop again, or tutor for artifacts, and since they're very cheap, it doesn't really hurt him too much. Now this is an artifact control deck, so you need some of that juicy blue-white control. So Norn's Annex, Ghostly Prison, and Propaganda pretty much make sure your opponent can't attack you. Aura of Silence makes it a bit harder for them to do artifact enchantment too, plus it's a bit of removal if you need it. Authority of the Consul really gums up the board for their creatures, gains you a bit of life to protect you from a bit of burn, or so you can take a few hits. Silent Arbiter locks down creatures so only one can attack and only one can block. Doesn't really hurt us, we can get rid of it when we need to go in for big swing, but it helps us deal with go wide decks. Time Wipe, the new board wipe from War of Spark. Pretty spicy in this deck. You choose a creature you control, return it to your hand, and then destroy all creatures, so you can save your key pieces. And good old Stifle works well in a lot of decks. Now you can put that under the Ice Concept if you want to be a really annoying person. Rewind and Render Silent are very powerful counter spells, but they're too fat for the Scepter. Now, being blue-white, with really strong artifact, you got some pretty good card advantage. Sensei's Divining Top, Scroll Rack, let you just manipulate the deck, let you have such efficient draws. With the Scroll Rack, if you don't like your hand, just put it aside, have a new hand, it feels good. Lantern of Insight can let you see what your opponent's up to, what's coming on, and if you need to, you can click that emergency button and make them shuffle their library, and with your commander you can keep returning it, it's not much of a problem. Ristic Studies, $20 common at this point, please reprint it. I've got a few, but this thing needs a reprint for a lot of people. Solon here is just, it's land tutoring, it's a draw on one card that you can keep recurring it because it's an artifact, God tier. Standstill, 2 mana, whenever a player casts a spell, that player's opponents draw 3 cards. Now, name the card Standstill, you play it, don't do anything, let them cast the next spell, that's fine, it slows them down, and if they do, you get to draw 3 cards, and you know what, you can return it with your commander because it's an enchantment. One with Machine is just a big old dumb draw spell, you've probably got the biggest artifacts so you'll draw a ton of cards. And Intuition is a $70 reserve list card as well, that lets you search for 3 cards, your opponent picks one of them, goes into your hand, other 2 to your graveyard. You don't care because your commander can return them anyway. Now this deck does have a lot of tutors, so it performs very consistently. We did mention Enlightened Tutor early on with the Scepter, but there's also Mystical Tutor and Merchant Scroll, Fabricate and Whir of Invention. That's 5 tutors in one deck. You can get out pretty much anything you need when you need it. Now into the supporting idea of the deck. We mentioned Memnarch earlier, bomb card, just a good card all around in most artifact decks. There's always artifacts in a game of Commander, plenty to steal from. Then we've got Muzio. He lets you rip from the top of your deck, equal to the CMC of your biggest artifact, and you can cheat an artifact with CMC less than that into play. So it rewards you for going greedy with artifacts. Cart Clan Ironworks is just a sack outlet for your artifacts, supports a lot of combos in the deck, gives you mana. It's just a middle piece for a lot of your stuff. It makes things a little bit easier for you. Burnished Heart gets your lands out of your library, thins your deck, replay it with your commander, do it again, thin your deck again. Good value all around. Prototype Portal lets you make copies of any artifact in your deck pretty much. I personally have been burnt by this card many times, I get myself 2 for 1. Phyrexian Metamorph can be any artifact or creature on the board. If it dies, you're not too worried, you can return it with your commander, copy a new target. Telepathy is a great form of information from your opponents. Also a great troll card because a lot of players will often move their entire board up to have their hands on the bottom there. I personally play it in my deck just to be a troll, but a lot of my friends are telling me to get rid of it. And you got Argivian Find, which just lets you get an artifact or enchantment from your graveyard back to your hand in a pinch. Of course, any white-blue artifact control deck would have Mindslaver, and here it is. Now I did miss one card here in this deck called Padim, which is a hexproof guy from Kaladesh. Now, the mana rocks. This is a big part of this deck because these rocks can be abused, they can be reset, infinite mana, they can be turned into beaters. So Sol Ring, Thran Dynamo, and Guild Lotus are your typical commander staples, but also Mana Crypt, Mana Vault, and Basalt Monolith. They're the really greedy mana rocks which you can untap and get lots of free mana. Now don't forget that Unwinding Clock's constantly here, it's a thing, you tutor for it, you get it out in most games. This just lets you have so much free mana on your opponent's turns, it's ridiculous, lets you go infinite as well. Other forms of mana rocks in this deck, Mind Stone, Hedron Archive, and Commander Sphere give us some ramp and a form of draw. We can sack him to draw a card, return it with our commander, and do it again. This is wonderful. Thought Vessel gives us no maximum hand slides, good because this deck does have a bit of greedy draw in it, and the Signet and the Ingot here give you a bit of coloured mana. There's also a Lotus Bloom in here for a bit of quick mana whenever you need it, so you can play it early on, suspend it away. When you need that 3 mana of a colour, you can pop it off and get that little bit extra ramp. Now the lands. The deck has got a perfectly fine split for its coloured lands. You got things like your Port Town, Mystic Gate for filtering, your Buddy Land through the Glacial Fortress, your Shock Land, your Pain Land. You've got your little life gain lands from the Khan's block, you've got your new Battleborn lands, you've got temples, and of course you've got your good old fetch land. Everything you need in white-blue. Good, you'll never have trouble with mana. There are some other utility lands in this deck. You've got your 2 artifact lands, you've got your Darksteel Citadel and your Seat of the Synod. Helps you get artifacts out there, your artifact count up if you need them. Inventor's Fair can get you life through Metalcraft, and if you need to you can sack it as tutor for another artifact, so plenty of tutors in this deck. Reliquary Tower protects that hand size, and you got Reflecting Pool and Exotic Orchard. Now, Exotic Orchard, I believe he is for Memnarch mainly, because you can steal things from your opponent. If it has activated abilities that require a certain color, Exotic Orchard's got you back. Reflecting Pool, I'd probably change it out to Command Tower because sometimes it can bite you in the butt, you can't get all the colors you need. And to end off with the basics, 8 plains and 8 islands. So that wraps up Marcus's actual deck tech, his deck list there, we've gone through it. Really good deck, well built, definitely a lot of love and thought put into it. Kind of on the expensive side, it's nearly $1,000, but there are some pretty spiky reserve list cards in there which will be great future investments for Marcus. I have got a bit of a suggestion here at the end, like cards to recommend or things that you can consider. Now you do run Mindslaver. Mindslaver works really well with Academy Ruins. Now your commander can return the Mindslaver so you can keep setting up that lock and just have control of your opponents forever. Academy Ruins is just like a safety net so you can do it easier. It does it for 2 mana cheaper, but it's the top of your deck instead of your hand. But if you have the Ruins, your commander can be focusing on one combo while the Ruins can bring back another. So you can have 2 combos kind of safe netted. The Buried Ruin here is just a once-off emergency, but it's nice to have in the deck. Lattice. This card has gone up so much the last week and a half. It's $32 now, I think. It went from like 10, 15 bucks, doubled price more than. I think it would be a no-brainer in this deck. It would be so powerful, wouldn't it? So if everything's an artifact, your Unwinding Clock can untap everything you control. You have a lot of things that just care about artifacts in general. You already have a Darksteel Forge, makes everything you control indestructible. Add a Nevinyrral's Disc, so you can tap it, destroy all artifacts in play. That includes your opponents, because now everything's an artifact, but your Darksteel Forge makes all your artifacts indestructible. The typical combo, we've seen it before in many decks. Pretty much you keep your board, nuke their board. Could be an option. In saying that, Karn works really well with the Lattice, because that's partly what allowed us to went up in price. It says, activated abilities of artifacts your opponent control can't be activated. If everything they control is an artifact, they can't use any activated abilities, locks them out of it. Plus Karn can animate your artifacts into beaters, and he can get artifacts outside the game. That part depends on your play group. Now, talking about artifact beaters, like actual artifact creatures that can fight, control decks do need a way to finish the game eventually. So turning your entire board into 5/5 beaters or beaters equal to the CMC is a good way to close the game, especially when you have that many artifacts and mana rocks lying around. Hence why I reference March of the Machines and the War here. Great options. More of just a random assortment at the end. The Locket for the blue-white could be a thing, because late game you do need all the card draw you can find, and plus having mana rocks which can tap for either the colors you need can help. I would probably trade out the Darksteel Ingot for this, because, well, you got Darksteel Forge, makes everything indestructible, and your commander can return them anyway, so you're not too worried about the indestructible part. Duplicant can be a removal spell on a creature that you can keep recurring with your commander, so if your opponent has really high value targets, play Duplicant, imprint their creature, get rid of it, you've got a new creature to fight with. Be very liberal with it, get it killed in combat or something, and then return it with your commander. Wormcoil works well in the deck because, well, it's Wormcoil, it's great commander, but you can recur it with your commander every time it dies, get those tokens out again, and you run Anointed Procession, so you do care about tokens to an extent, so you can make 4 copies of Worm tokens instead of 2. And with that token idea, Sai, Master Thopterist, every time you cast an artifact, here's an additional Thop to go with it, and you can sacrifice artifacts to draw cards. And that's it for this deck tech for Marcus. This is his Ship's Navigator. Marcus is my first gold patron, so thank you to him for his support. If you guys would like to become a patron, my Patreon link is down below. If you have any recommendations for his deck, put them down below so we can read and all gather our collective knowledge on it. But yeah, I enjoyed this one. It was fun making decks with someone else as well for once, or reviewing them and making videos about them. So yeah, let me know your thoughts, guys, and have a good one. See ya. Thanks for watching, guys. Please remember to like and sub and click the bell icon for notifications. It's greatly appreciated. And if you have any deck or video ideas, just suggest them down below. And have a good one, guys.